All right, I'll go ahead and get started by introducing our speakers here today. First, we have Dr. Nancy Fowler, who is the admissions counselor as well as instructor of the school in the OT Brenau University. She has focused on the needs of older adults during her OT career and developed a program for older adults to support strong and independent aging. She is a member of the Northeast Georgia Fall Prevention Coalition, which is a collaboration between community and healthcare organizations focusing on connecting the public with services and increasing awareness of strategies to prevent falls and fall-related injuries. We also have Dr. Victoria Loudermilk. She is the assistant professor in the Occupational Therapy Department at Brenau University, board certified in gerontology through the American Occupational Therapy Association. She is passionate about working with adults and older adults facing neurological and cognitive challenges. Dr. Loudermilk holds specialty certifications as a certified dementia practitioner and LSVT VIC provider, which enhances her ability to support older adults in maximizing their quality of life. We also have Dr. Frederica Kennedy, and if you don't mind, introducing yourself, and if you could please use the microphone so everybody could could hear you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Frederica Kennedy. Everybody calls me Freddie. And so I'm associate professor at Brenau, and I specialize in pediatrics. However, I teach across the lifespan, and I do a lot with the older adults, especially when I was in Illinois. I also have experience being a caregiver of a parent that has dementia, and towards the end, of course, end of life, she passed. But I used a lot of things that I'm OT. I've been practicing for almost 30 years, and I have 3 children and a grandson that I can't wait to go and visit that.
I'm trying to remember to talk in this thing. I'm sorry, I'm not used to using them. I'm Nancy. I'm so glad to see you all here this morning. We're going to talk about safely aging in place. And the first place to start with that is to ask, how many of you are talking about your parents? Thinking about your parents rather than yourself? Adult children of parents, right? Okay, so a little bit. And most of them are caregivers or I'm thinking about yourself. Self. That's right. Self, taking care of myself here. So the first thing I want to have you think about is how to have a conversation with your parents. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but having that conversation. My parents were very, very dogged, I guess is the best word, dogged. They were, I'm going to stay here. This is fine, I am fine, everything's fine, leave me alone, kind of deal. So you take a big step back and think, hey, and let them be as much as you can. And that's the important thing, is that sense of respect for them. They are adults, they make sense, they get to make their own choices, and instead of having someone, no, tell you, I can come in and change your life and make it all wonderful. No, I cannot. It would make it worse. So helping them to think about things for themselves. So that the important part there is to talk with them, ask them what their thoughts are. Have you thought about probably have. What are you thinking? Well, I'm going to stay here and that's all we're good. Okay, how's that going to work? Asking them and then listening, helping them problem solve, considering what are the challenges that might come up as they age. Because right now we're fine, they're fine, we've adjusted with things. Always said my mom would have made a good OT because she's got a lot of common sense and would think, well, this works, this doesn't work, I can do this or I can do that. And thinking that way is helpful, being aware of your own abilities and how those might change over time, because they do. Whether you need glasses or not, as you age, your eyes do change as the way it takes in light. And so that's something to think about. Just getting brighter light bulbs might make a difference in making things safer. Simple things like that. But helping them think about it. So most people will say, yes, we want to age in place. And that's the consensus when you do polls and so forth. People say, I want to age in place. However, another poll showed that 1 out of 5 people maybe are not sure that they can. They don't feel particularly safe where they live, or isn't going to work one way or another. So that's something to think about. What are the barriers that they are seeing, that they're expecting, that they're afraid of? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages of staying in place? So you have to think about that with them. Make a list together, walk around the house together and think about, how is this working? How's this working for me now? Yeah, well, what if I fill in the blank there? What if I see less? What if I can't drive? What if I break a hip? What if I, all those things that might happen. How can you prepare for that? How can you be ready for that? How can you prepare the home? The person already has some disabilities, some issues, some problems, they have arthritis, or think of the things that might get in the way of functioning comfortably and safely around your home. Then you've already got some ideas to be working on and to planning for their home. It may be that there are some simple, inexpensive things to fix or to change, to modify in their home. And it may be that, oh my goodness, this really needs a big, do I want to spend that money? Do I have that money? Or are there other things I can do or not? So lots of different ways to look at it and think about it. Some of the advantages of staying, well, the first one is, this is familiar, this is home. I've been here for 40 years. In that, that's who you are, that home. Looking at your stuff, their stuff, my stuff, this is my identity. Don't tell me I have too much clutter. Don't call it clutter. So finding storage for these meaningful things that identify me is an important look at things and think about it. There is a really cool book. I'd like to recommend it to you. It's got an awful title in my opinion, but I love the book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. If you've not seen that, I've got a picture of the book so that you can take a photo of it if you want to. It is a gentle book, and it's got a slight bit of humor, written by a lady in Sweden, an older lady. So it's got some good ideas to think about. Why are you doing this? Why would you do that? Hanging on to things and moving things around. So that's one to think about. Another book, I did bring it, the Crucial Conversations book. Now this book is one that was written from a business point of view, but it's how to talk with people when you've got this big thing not ready to think about it, or you don't think they're going to be open to talk about it. This has some good just steps of talking with people, how to get them on their side or be on their side, so that you can have a good and open conversation about things. So, a couple of the advantages. What are some of the disadvantages to staying in place? Well, as I already mentioned, it may cost a lot of money to get something to fit. And sometimes we, older adults, are like, I'm just going to live with it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to redo my bathroom at, $20,000, $30,000. I can't do that. What am I going to do instead? Heaven knows. That's where some of our ideas today will hopefully be helpful, thinking about other things, other ways to make it more comfortable. Another disadvantage of staying is that you've got all this space that you may not need anymore. Although, it can also be an advantage. I read a story of a woman who retired and her family, and was widowed, and her family said, oh, you need to move this, you just got to get out of this two-story house. And she's like, no. Then COVID hit. She had a yard to work in, to spread out in, a place to walk, a place to have her stuff, and she wasn't stuck in a little, two-room place in an assisted living. She had breathing room. She could talk to her neighbor across the fence without having to worry about giving germs and so forth. So that worked out well for her. Now she did need some assistance, and that's the thing to think about. I need somebody to mow the grass. I need somebody to change the light bulb way up high, or clean the gutters, or all those sorts of things. So that kind of cost going around is a disadvantage. But that doesn't work out. You can figure that out. So one of the important things in this conversation, then, in deciding, you can't really make a decision assess the house. So that's what I'm talking about now. Walking through the house and looking for the safety issues. There you go.
Well, here we go. I just want to give one thing, because sometimes if you don't do something, right, at least for me, if I don't do something right then and there, it's like it never happened. I'm like, I'm going to add to the list what an OT would do to evaluate your homes, just so you know. There you go.
We're gonna give you lots of handouts.
Yes, we are. Okay, so this was a handy dandy little PowerPoint that typically that I would use if I was teaching class. I just modified it a little bit because OTs are trained, as you can see from, Victoria and from Nancy, as far as dealing across the lifespan, but especially aging in place, because aging in place is something that is so important to a lot of our clients. It's when they come to see us and we have interventions, we have to plan our interventions where they are client-centered based, what's important. If it's not important, they're not going to buy in. We don't get any good outcomes. And we love outcomes because that's how we get paid. So, anyway, aging in place, one of the main things is it talks about how that individuals that are 65 plus, nearly 90 stay in their own home for as long as possible. As Nancy talked about, you think about it that if your parents or if you have stayed in your home for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, all of a sudden, someone's going to uproot you, don't ask you any questions, but tell you that you have to go to assistive living, and you are still in the mindset of, well, when I was 30 and 40 years old, I could do this for myself, I could do that. It has not quite clicked in. So that's why a lot, at 90%, they want to stay in their own homes. And it's not very far as the percentage is concerned, where you're looking at 80% that believe that they can actually do it. So the question comes in is that what is really needed to be able to age in place? But it's not just to age in place, but to age in place safely. One of the things that we generally look at is our universal design. So when we're looking at universal design, we're looking at something, designing an environment. A lot of times we say the environment, we think about high cost, high impact, a lot of knocking down walls and things like that, but that's not what that is. We look at low physical effort. It might be just to install a grab bar inside of a shower. You might be able to go to Home Depot and get that for $35, $25. Also, something that's flexible and something that can be used all the way across no matter what. So we have an example such as when we're looking at opening a door. We think in terms of opening a door earlier when we were younger that we took it for granted, but opening a door now is going to take more strength, more of our motor skills, maybe even our cognitive ability, and also as far as us being when we're carrying something. So that's another thing that OTs do, which we don't think about aging in place, is we teach you proper body mechanics, how to carry something. And the reason why is not just because of your back, but remember, because of fall prevention. Because if we're not carrying something appropriately, then that puts us at risk for a lot of falls. So for occupational therapy, when we come into your home or we assist you, we're looking at being consultants for you and also advocates for you. When we think about our modifications or our tasks, we look at also assistive technology. For example, if our eyes start going a little bit bad, like I need some glasses, and we have that old cellular one telephone, but with those itty bitty little numbers, we always can come in and say, hey, have you thought about larger numbers to be able to print? Maybe a phone that has less function. Call in, call out, call emergency. That's all you basically need. So these are the pieces that we also look at as far as any equipment that's just relatively um, um, economical. Now, when we're assessing a home, one of the main things that we want to pay attention to when we're assessing a home is we want to look at that flow of that house as you do your daily tasks. So what does that mean? That means that, okay, when we talk about the flow, we like that just the flow be easy, no tripping, not falling, but very easy where we might have to do our laundry. How about our kitchens? I don't know about you all, but for me, given my background, we use a lot of spices. We use, oh my God, a lot of spices, a lot of ingredients. So if I am at risk for a fall, or I'm trying to be safe, or maybe I got that arthritis, and I'm not able to really do an overhead reach and be safe, and if I can, it's a lot of pain, then I'm going to look at bringing all of those spices, all of those things that I use, my pots, my pans, all of that to a lower level. So I won't have to reach overhead. I won't have to get the step ladder and almost fall. And I'm going to show you some pictures a little bit later, exactly what I'm talking about. Even sometimes, I think my aunt had what they call that lazy Susan. When you put everything on there and you take that finger and spin it around. I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble about that, because I spin. So even with our entryways, sometimes when we come through the house, that the strip or molding was up a little bit high. I guess that they thought that was more for me, it made me trip. Because if I wasn't paying attention, I had to always remember to step over it, because if not, the part of the front part of my shoe would tap up against it and it would throw my balance off. So that's why our entryways, our thresholds, how we organize our furniture. Now, I'm sure you all don't, but my grandmother and all of them, you tell them, you do better with a cane, you do better with a phone. You know what they tell me? See, you say, They're like, I don't need that, why do I need that? I have my couch right here. and then I go over here to the cabinet, because it's not going anywhere. And then I take the wall and I'll make it all the way to the kitchen. That may be true, but what happens if it's unsteady? What happens if you miss your step to get to the couch, the cabinet, and all of that? Next thing you know, that you end up falling. So that's why we think about universal design. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing of universal design. It looks nice, it's peaceful. If you look at the sidewalk, I should say, it is big enough for a wheelchair. Also, it's not restricted as far as grass, as far as weeds are concerned, where this person would possibly fall. However, how is he going to get upstairs? So it may even be the possibility that when certain things in our life change, like those physical abilities change, we cannot walk, then we may have to think about installation of possibly a ramp. And there are to the rise, I can't remember the exact number, but a rise and a fall so that you would be safe in getting inside your home. Or if you think, I don't have the money, is it possible there's another entrance that you could possibly use that does not have the stairs? You can wheel right in and go straight into the kitchen or inside your home. So that's another thing when we're looking at universal design. What will fit everyone's situation? So take a look at this picture. All right, so they installed the ramp. Okay, they're going to get into the home. What is your opinion? Is that easy?
That's way too steep.
Number one, rising fall is too steep. Yeah, anything else?
The air conditioner in the bucket.
Oh, look at that air conditioner. Oh, right into the air conditioner because you don't have enough room to maneuver.
It's not a smooth transition.
It's not a smooth transition.
Wheel could come off the side of that front.
Yes, it really could, because they don't have enough railings over here for protection, anything else.
Just the same.
It is, Ricky, huh?
Safety hazard.
It's a big safety hazard, because look at this, now we got the throw rug right here. So now that's gonna be, that's gonna get all tangled up into the actual wheels of the wheelchair. Look at the clutter that's going on even up here. So this is something, even if we do not use a wheelchair, still, this porch right here, you wanna be careful. This porch right here looks just like my grandmother's porch. And when I tell you, I don't know how many times I ran into the air conditioner, I scratched my leg, all of that. But as for me, I would tell Granny, I said, Granny, you need to, oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's all of her things. So, of course, if I was older, I would have helped her to maneuver a little bit. Also, think about these trees that's right here. It's obstructing the view. It could cause insects, bugs, bees. God forbid you get stung. Now you got to go to emergency because you might have some type of allergic reaction. This is a closer view. This is really bad, because now this can topple over. How many times have we had our moms or our aunts, they would do that? And why do you think that they would stack those boxes and all that different stuff on top? You got any opinion?
Because it's hard for them to walk a distance to get to where it needs to go.
Exactly. So we have to consider that. Hard for them to walk a distance. Also think about, they get tired very easily. So therefore, I'm just going to put this here, and I'm going to rest, and I'm going to come back in about an hour to get it. And look at this. This is 1 hour, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You never came back to get it done. You make it bigger. Next thing you know, they forgot about it, and now it's a safety hazard. It's just that side view or profile of what we saw before. But what do you see that would be an issue here?
Getting from the grass up on
Yep.
the ramp.
Now, let's take that ramp out and just say somebody's walking. We have to be very careful where we're stepping. Not all yards are even. Some have sinkholes. Next thing you know, you trip, you fall, you twist your ankle. Okay? So that's another thing. Now, they do have the walkway that's here, but you have to make sure that these railings are such that they can grab onto and that they're sturdy. They're not shaking all over the place, because then that's another issue. The same thing with the stairs, also another issue. Just because it's a stair that's there does not make it stable, especially if you got termites. So you have to be very careful as far as that is as well. So as you can see, some of these are made for people with wheelchair, but if you're walking, it's the same consideration, in order to age in place to be safe. Oh yeah, here's my auntie stuff. You got newspapers and books from 1950. Here is the trusty furniture that you're gonna get from the couch. You're gonna move over here to get to the kitchen. Again, that this is our obstacle course, so we have to be careful. Another thing we have to be careful about is with these couches. Have you ever sat on a couch and you can't get up? Because you go all the way there. That is another issue that possibly we could help them if they can't afford to get a couch. Maybe we could find a board, from Home Depot, something ineffective, and put it up under the pillows of the couch, so that when they sit, they have enough to be able to stand up, rather than go sinking all the way down and they can't get up. So that is definitely another consideration.
Will you come to my house?
Oh, girl, let me tell you. So they passing out the evaluations when an OT comes to the house.
Okay.
And back in Chicago, I used to do a lot of home visits for the hospital, because we had people that would come home and their doorways were too small, their toilets were too short, Or so it was just a hazard. So therefore, so I don't know. Look, I might be able to make that all. But one of the other things too is that I talked about parking entrances, ramps, stairways, handrails. This is what you want to think about. Unobstructed routes. Make sure nothing's inside of there. 48-inch wide walkways that gives you enough to be able to maneuver if you're walking or if you're in a wheelchair. Here we go with these uneven pieces, even terrain. So you want to make sure in asking yourself and also your older loved ones, hey, please stop walking in the grass. They love to walk in the grass. I don't know, I guess it's the feel of nature from when they were a boy, when they were a girl. And it's not that you're telling them what to do or because the grass is so perfect, it's because it's uneven. And so you can tell them that we don't want you to trip. We do not want you to fall. We need you to walk on some type of cement or gravel or whatever. And here are our ramps, where our ramps, it should be a 1 to 2, is it length and then rise? I think it is. But if you took it like the Home Depot, they know how to install the ramps if you needed to put the ramps. Also, this one is a big one, thresholds. The thresholds that I talked about, low pile carpet. Now, back in the 70s, my mom was with that shag carpet. If you drop something in there, you wouldn't find it till next year. So you need a low pile carpet so you won't trip and fall. So if they drop something, they can find it rather than surfing all the way around and next thing you know, they fall. Also, contrast for vision. If there's any type of lighting or anything. How many minutes I got? Because I talk a lot. Am I running out? Okay, I'm good, okay. Also, when we look at doorways, these are the doorways. This is what I talked about. Those doorways need to at least be about 32 inches in order for them to get, in adequately. Also, sometimes with doors that our older loved ones will go get somebody. And if it's the friend that's down the street, you already know it swings the wrong way. I've been an observer of that too. So you want to make sure that the door is swinging out when it needs to swing out, that it's swinging in when it actually needs to swing in. So these are just some of the other options that you can think about. Kitchens. I talked about the cupboards as far as the grab rails, as far as turning spaces you could possibly use, minimizing your reach, like the Lazy Susan, maybe pulling out shelves, adjusting the height of your shelves, just bringing it lower, more towards the middle, possibly of your stomach, where you don't have to bend as much. Because yes, you want to bring it down, but you don't want your pots and your pans and your seasoning and stuff such that the person or yourself will have to bend so much to be able to come up and get it. Because you stop and think, if you're going to bend and you're going to have a pot, a pan, any type of ingredients in your hand, one of those hands needs to be able to assist you as well. Well, you already use one hand with something in it. So that means you don't have two hands to stabilize you. And then what happens if you bend down like my granny and her knees or her legs get weak? Sometimes she'd have to sit on the floor. And then we have to come and get her. And we're like, Granny, did you fall? No, I didn't fall. I just got a little weak because I was trying to get the pot in the pan. So we help her up and then help y'all get the pan for her. So that's also another consideration. So even if you do not do, any major things, which we are not advocating for major things, these are just some inexpensive things that you can start with, okay? For your furniture and your floor surfaces, be very careful. I know it's cute, those decorative rugs. I got one myself. A throw rug, but you want to make sure that it is firmly
in place on the floor. So they have little adhesive strips that you could put up under there so it won't slide back and forth. Also, you want to make sure again that your mats, they pretty much have a no slip or non-glare linoleum, because with my grandmother, the glare from the floor, and it wasn't necessarily just her eyes, it was her glasses as well that was the issue for that. So timers such as clappers, all of that, that's also a good thing. You know, anything less that anyone has to do, the better. Instead of walking into a dark room, feeling for the switch, if you can just do your clap on, clap off, then that will also assist you. And it'll cut down on a lot of falls. And that was home sweet home.
Testing 1, 2.
And the flyer.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, okay. Okay, all right. I got blood. Oh, and then I like living around with the parent, with dementia.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started to respect everybody's time.